Welcome to 1001 Careers. My name is Evelina, and today I have an amazing guest, Stella. Stella works in technical companies, right now working as a trust and safety specialist at Amazon Web Services. And the unique story about Stella is that she has a bachelor's degree in English from University of Texas in Austin. So, Stella, thank you so much for agreeing to come to this podcast, to this interview, and I'm glad to see you today.
Hi, Evelina. Thanks for having me. Excited to speak with you.
Yeah. So let's start with our first question. Can you please introduce yourself and what are you doing right now? I just gave a title, but can you explain to people what's the core of your job?
Yeah, so my day to day looks like looking at network traffic logs in abuse reports submitted by individuals, companies, or any other users of AWS services. And these reports are about our customers who might or might not be abusing the AWS services to conduct activities that are not acceptable and activities that violate our acceptable user policy. And what this looks like is basically spamming or fraud, fraud, or hosting spam websites for
Mhm.
users and harmful content. So my day-to-day looks like looking at these reports and addressing them and taking action when needed, which looks like speaking to the customers, communicating with them, and suggesting best practice, and sometimes mitigation or enforcement actions like blocking IPs, ports, or users in the extreme cases. So yeah, that's what the job looks like
Yeah.
every day.
So seems like a very technical job where you also collaborate with a lot of technical people, right, in the company. Tell me what got you interested in this job and how did you end up in this position?
Yeah, so while I was working my previous job, I have always wanted to build technical skills because I always felt like I was very, very lacking in technical skills. So my background is in policy. I worked at social media companies on the policy side of things. So I was working mostly with content like child abuse content and content that involves like misinformation. And I was the policy maker behind it basically and operationalizing the policy for different countries where users are using these social media apps. And I have always wanted to build technical skills, and I was looking for a role that offers growth for me in the tech area. And then I found this job posted externally where it was still trust and safety. So my background has always been in trust and safety, but on the content side, more on the content side. But this job was very unique because it would offer me the same job essentially, but it would be in the realm of um tech
Mhm.
basically, because it would require technical skills to a certain degree for me to work the job. So I applied and then I was lucky and got through the interview loops and got the job. So I feel very lucky because I essentially had zero background for this role, which is cybersecurity. And I never imagined I would work in cybersecurity. And so when people ask me, what do you do for your work? And when I mention the word cybersecurity, I'm amazed myself because
Mhm.
I never imagined myself to be in this spot. So I'm very, very
Yeah.
thankful.
Yeah, so you have an interesting path, yeah. You graduated with a bachelor's degree in English, yeah, and after this, you started working in policy, correct?
Mhm. Yeah.
For different companies. Can you name like Twitter, right? You work there, or
Yeah, Twitter, and after it rebranded to X. and
Oh
also
yeah.
Facebook. And I was there when it rebranded to Meta. So
Mm-hmm.
I was at these companies in their transition periods. And also before that, I was at Amazon too as a customer service specialist. So I was on the Amazon like shopping side back then, but whereas now I'm part of AWS, the
Mm-hmm.
cloud services platform. But yeah, so and then before I got into the corporate world, my first job was at the Texas Congress, actually. I was a legal editor and I was working
Mm-hmm.
with the lawyers, the state lawyers and the writers to help amend the Texas Constitution. And I was communicating with the state senators and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I was also at one point a disability adjudicator for Social Security for the state of Texas. And I was adjudicating disability applications by the people in Texas.
Interesting. You have a very diverse, path. Uh, and feel like there are a lot of writing skills you had to use, especially in legal work.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of
Yeah, for
writing.
sure. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And policy. Yeah, so it's very diverse. So you got the bachelor's in English, worked in legal field, then went to policy work, analysis,
Yeah, all the policy
corporate,
analysts.
and then
Mm-hmm.
now a new field. Yeah, you got a job in cybersecurity and at Amazon Web Services as a trust and safety specialist.
Right.
Wow. Okay, last year. Wow. Okay, so cool. You mentioned technical skills and that you wanted to learn new technical skills.
Mm-hmm.
Can you name what kind of technical skills you use in your everyday?
Yeah, I use the Linux terminal, SQL basically, and I look up customers using the Linux terminal. So I would type in it's very basic still, I would say. I would type in host space the website domain that's in question, and then it would give me the IP address, and then if I run the program with it, our internal program with it, it would let me reach the customer. So it allows me to determine whether it's an whether it's an AWS customer or not. So so my job is to determine whether the IP owner is using AWS services or not. So if I determine that they are AWS customers, then my next step would be to reach out to them to see what's going on to further investigate.
Mm-hmm. Any other technical skills you need to use, or just any skills that are valuable in this job, like communication or, you know, all of this?
Yeah, so I would say my role is very tech adjacent. So I have to talk with software engineers on a regular basis because we exchange tickets. We have to cut tickets to software engineers if something is broken while we're working, and vice versa. Software engineers also flag tickets to us internally if something is in our purview and not in their purview because we both speak to the customers and we have to identify and triage according to what the customer is needing or what the reporter who reported the customer is needing. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I communicate with software engineers on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm. So if somebody wants to get into this type of work, how can they learn more about it? Or where did you find this job, for example? Was it on LinkedIn and you just applied externally, or how did it look like?
Yeah, so I have a running list of companies I regularly monitor the job like external job sites of. So I would check the external like job sites as often as possible to see if there are any new jobs posted. And then I would go through the job duties, the bullet points basically, and see if it aligns with my experience and background. And then I would just apply. I know a lot of people are very shy or can feel unqualified to apply a lot of times, especially women. And I want to tell them just go ahead and apply because your chance is higher than zero if you click apply. And
Yeah.
if you don't, your chance is zero. You know
Zero.
what I mean? So
Hmm.
I always encourage people to apply as much as possible.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, that I think that's a really great advice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with the women. Yeah, there's research that shows that women, in order for a woman to apply for the job, they need to match like
Hmm.
all the qualifications, yeah, just to feel confident in applying.
Yeah.
And you mentioned external website. You mean the actual company website or just like job boards?
Yeah, the company's job
Okay,
site.
companies. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, and tell me a little bit. I know you briefly mentioned your day-to-day responsibilities in a job, but can you tell me what is the typical, again, day look like in this occupation and
Hmm.
work-life balance?
Yeah, so I would, as soon as I log in, I look at my support queue that I'm supposed to manage and look at the cases, look at the volume of cases first, and then I go into the cases to see if there's any ongoing patterns. Because sometimes the same reporter can spam us with the same report essentially, especially if the reports are automated, that happens a lot. And so I determine first of all if I can close any cases in bulk, rather than going into them one by one manually, just for efficiency. And then I work the cases one by one to address the concerns and um the abuse essentially. And these are in the form of tickets. So I would work 20 to 30 tickets a day.
Mhm.
And I would take breaks for lunch and just when I get tired because otherwise I'm just clearing tickets
Mhm.
other than when I am in meetings with people. Um, so work life balance, I would say it's pretty right now my team is pretty busy. But I think once we have more people, more new hires, and they're ramped up, I think we'll be in a better spot as a team. So I'm very, very busy these days, but I don't think this is gonna stay this way forever.
Mhm.
So I'm hopeful.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. And so what kind of skills do you think were really valuable for the hiring managers when they were decided to give you a job? Like maybe your um, transferable experience in policy before, or anything transferable you think that you had in order to jump from policy yet to the cybersecurity because it's a new field.
Yeah, when I was interviewing my current manager, who was the hiring manager, he he really liked my background in policy and how I was in trust and safety specifically, because trust and safety is a very niche field in and of itself, and the people working in trust and safety kind of have to have the grid because they sometimes have to look at graphic content or content that people generally want to avoid because you have to look at it to essentially build the policy and the framework behind it so that we can protect users online. So so my manager really liked my background in trust and safety, and this role is in fact trust and safety, just with like a tinge of cybersecurity. So my manager really liked my background.
Mm-hmm.
And and I would say the skills that would be helpful to have is a little bit of basic cybersecurity knowledge, which I admit I didn't have
Hmm.
adequately at the time when I was interviewing because I wasn't sure what to expect for the interview or for the role because the job description was kind of vague.
Mhm.
And yeah, so I would say basic cybersecurity knowledge and some of the skills that are transferable would definitely be communication skills because you do have to talk a lot. You do have a lot of meetings when you um when you are working like day to day about different things. Like you have to talk with the engineers and data scientists
Mhm.
to address internal tools that are broken. And also, you have to talk with QAs and policy people
Mhm.
to make sure that the way we enforce things is consistent across all of the teams because we have the PNW team and oh, by the way, trust and safety is 24/7 coverage. So we got the so we run our teams globally. So we have our sister teams in Asia and Europe to cover all of the time zones. So yeah, to make sure that we are all enforcing the same policy and operationalizing the same policy accurately and consistently, we talk to the policy people and QAs um, regularly so that everybody's on the same page. So definitely communication skills is transferable, is an invaluable transferable skill. And I would also say just a positive mindset, because the work can really be demanding at times, because you do have metrics that you have to meet if you are working tickets and managing support queues, especially if the team is busy and these these support queue volumes are spiking, work can get really, really stressful. So just staying positive and just working, just keep working the
Yeah.
tickets and being able to relax while you do that is very, very important. So um, a lot of um, a lot of time management would also be helpful because you do have to take time for yourself to take a break. Um,
Mhm.
especially when your team is very, very busy.
Mhm.
And the team is if the team is understaffed, then it's even harder. So yeah, I think positive mindset, trans time management and communication skills are definitely transferable.
Mhm.
And if you have for my role specifically, if you have a background in trust and safety, you definitely have are ahead of others,
Mhm.
I would say, because trust and safety is essentially um, a field that seeks to protect users online. And if we can fix our eyes on that goal, we can, then we can
Mhm.
work with any stakeholders,
Mhm.
whether it be reporters, um, customers, or internal stakeholders, like people that you work with. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, so much valuable information. And how can I tell if this occupation is a good fit for me, for example? Who would be comfortable with this job, more or
I
less?
think I think someone who has experience working in trust and safety, whether it be more on the content side or this kind of activity abuse side, and if you have a cybersecurity background, this would be a good role for you.
Hmm.
And also, if you have a very customer-centric mindset, because essentially what we do is to serve our customers, rather than enforcing so much policy on them, so much as to block them or block their IPs because we are in service to our customers. So if your mindset is very, very customer service focused, I would say this is a very good role for you. And
Hmm.
trust and safety in general too, because we are protecting our users and our
Hmm.
users are our customers.
Gotcha. Okay. And tell me a little bit about I have a very interesting question. So Tell me top three reasons you like this occupation, you personally, yeah? What you like about it, and top three reasons you don't like it.
Got you. Top three reasons why I like the job is I am very meticulous, so I like to work the tickets and make sure that I am also clearing all of the related tickets so that at the end of my day, the support queue is empty. The
Mhm.
queue volume is zero, so I like doing that. So it just fits my personality very well. And also, another reason is I really, really like my team. I really like my manager, how he always cheers on for me and he is there to support me. He is my biggest advocate at work. And also, my colleagues, the senior members on my team, they're very, very helpful. They're always there to help you. They carve time out of their day to have meetings with you to check in and make sure you're understanding all the different areas that you have to address in your day to day when you're working cases. And another reason, I really like I really like the org. So we are part of the customer service org, and so we get to see other teams that are also part of customer service org, but they're doing different work. So I really like how our organization is structured right now. So
Mhm.
it's really cool to see that. And the top reasons why I don't like the job is I would say my team, like I said, my team is very, very busy. So the work is very, very busy. And it can really get to me because sometimes I have to skip lunch
Mhm.
to work. And to or if I have meetings, I definitely have to skip lunch or dinner sometimes. And that's one thing. And also another thing is on calls. On calls are very difficult. And my on calls have been on Sundays mostly. So that's definitely not easy. And another reason is the support queue volumes can really pile up, and especially if these reports are automated, and just bulk submitted by the same reporter, who's a lot of times not even aware that these reports are automatically generated. So
Mhm.
having to talk to them and closing these cases in bulk without knowing when the root cause is going to be resolved
Mhm.
is another pain. So yeah, those
Mhm.
are my top three
Yeah.
reasons. Yeah, why I wouldn't like the job.
And you mentioned being on calls. Can you explain what it is for people who are not familiar with this?
Yeah, on call
Hmm.
is basically we're doing the same work, but then our deadline is a lot faster. So the turnaround is
Mm.
faster for the tickets because the tickets are more urgent.
Mm.
So we have to clear these tickets really fast, we and then we work um, into the evenings to make sure that we are doing the 24/7 coverage that we need to for the customers.
Mm.
And then sometimes we have to make calls to the customers who are located in a different time zone than you as an on-call. So yeah, that's another thing. And then as an on-call, you have to handle all of the tickets that are submitted internally because internally internal teams can flag tickets directly to you. So you have to address them as they come.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm kind of curious about you mentioned a little bit about work-life balance. What about um, the work mode? Is it hybrid or on-site, full on-site or fully remote? What is the most typical work, mode in this
We
job?
are 5 days in the office,
Hmm.
so we do have to go in, which is why I'm living a 15-minute walk from my
Hmm.
office. So yeah,
Hmm.
so I think most companies are transitioning to hybrid to full 5 days in the office, and Amazon was one of the first companies to enforce 5 days RTO.
Fully on site. Okay. And so you mentioned, yeah, top three reasons you like this occupation, top three reasons you don't like. But at the end of the day, what keeps you, in this field, yeah, trust and safety, or just in your occupation?
Yeah, I really like the growth that this job is offering me as a cybersecurity professional and more techie than I've ever been in my life. I really like learning new things because when you're just in one area for a really long time, you can get desensitized to things. And when I started this job, I basically learned everything from scratch, and that was very, very stimulating for me intellectually, and also, yeah, and also just the feeling of knowing things that I didn't know before and didn't think that I could learn before is really amazing. And also, sorry, what was the other question?
Oh, it was just one. What keeps you in this field?
Oh yeah. And then my love for trust and safety, because I've been in this field for 7 years now, and I can't imagine not working for customers and
Hmm.
anymore and not working for users online. My mind is now very focused on being in service to who we are supposed to serve on this job. So trust and safety is very, very and it's becoming a more important field, I think, with the current administration. And we have to strike the right balance between sometimes, depending on the company's freedom of speech and protecting users online, which is a very, very fine line to walk if you were to strike the right balance. So yeah.
Hmm. Let's zoom out, yeah, from your present job. I'm curious about your path. Um, and the reason I decided to invite you for this interview is that we both have background in English. Yeah, you got
Mhm.
your bachelor's degree in English from, again, University of Texas in Austin. I got my bachelor's degree, but it was more about teaching. And when I was finishing my bachelor's degree in English, I never thought about trust and safety. I didn't even know, this field exists. I'm curious, what kind of aspirations you had? How did you even learn about trust and safety, right? Like 7 years ago. And yeah, I'm just curious how you learned about the field while in college or after college.
Yeah, so just like you, I was a student teacher in college while I was an
Mhm.
English major. I was going to be a high school English teacher until I
Mhm.
was about to graduate, and then I changed my mind. Um, and so I started out as a legal editor for the Texas Congress, and I was working with the state lawyers, and the state senators and their offices to work on getting out the amendments to the Texas Constitution.
Mhm.
So that was my first job, and then I moved on to being a disability adjudicator for Social Security in Texas. And I was either approving or denying applicants Social Security disability benefits. Based on whether they meet the bar. And I was getting very drained at that particular job because every application had a human attached to it, felt I felt bad. I just felt bad having to deny some applications just because they don't meet the bar, like in the policy, to get the money that they need for their disability. So I was looking for a new job, and I was looking for a corporate job where I would not have to engage with the citizens as much, the regular people, like day to day, like someone's mom, grandmom,
Mhm.
or brother or sister. Um, that way I could operate more like a just a working person, just dealing with whatever's in my computer, not with like a human, because I would get um very emotionally affected as a human being. So my first corporate job was at Accenture, and I was working, and my team was working in service to Google at the time. And that was my first ever trust and safety role. And I was working on the policy with the YouTube team. Um, to address misinformation on YouTube and also child abuse. And then I developed a very strong liking for trust and safety, and so I started applying for trust and safety roles. And my next role was at Meta,
Mhm.
Facebook at the time. And then, yeah, and so I was an intellectual property operations specialist at Facebook. Um, and my role was to manage support queues with reports about intellectual property infringements, like copyright, trademark infringements, or counterfeit products. I was part of the anti-counterfeiting projects while at Meta. And yeah, I would say that was the most fun time I had on my job, because I was able to proactively create policy framework that would um, battle
Mhm.
counterfeit products that were very, very rampant online. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, wow, interesting. Um, yeah, and what do you think? So we talked about English major, yeah, and you as an example who works in trust and safety. What about other majors? Maybe you have colleagues or had colleagues in the past. What kind of backgrounds do they come from to trust and
So
safety?
my current colleagues all have a cybersecurity background. I'm the only one
Hmm.
who doesn't, which is interesting. But for my prior roles, a lot of my former colleagues' background were also in the humanities, like
Hmm.
anthropology, English, radio, television, and film, and yeah, just a variety of different educational backgrounds, I would say,
Hmm.
and which is really interesting. So yeah,
Hmm.
I want to
Yeah.
say that there are career paths for people who major in the humanities. I know the
Yeah.
public conception is that the common conception is that it's hard to find a job as a humanities major, but I want to
Yeah.
encourage all my English major
Mhm.
girlies that there is a path for you.
Yeah, I'm so glad, yeah, that you're a guest today. So, people who are right now in humanities now know that, there is a career path called trust and safety, which I honestly didn't even know about myself as an English major. Yeah, and what kind of, so we're gonna wrap up our interview in 2, 3 minutes. What kind of advice would you give to somebody who, would like to do a career change to this field?
Mhm.
Or, yeah, for example, if somebody wants to work in this field, um, how can they stand out so they are a competitive candidate for these positions?
Yeah, I would say the first thing they would want to do, um, especially given the state of things right now in this world, definitely know the landscape for trust and safety, because now the need is getting more urgent for us to strike the balance between freedom of speech and protecting users. So when looking at building policy frameworks and having to implement this balance, it's a very fine line we have to walk. So I would say knowing the landscape for trust and safe, the current landscape for trust and safety is very important. And also, if you already have a network who of people who are working in trust and safety already, you can have coffee chats with them to learn more about what the work is that they do, and also doing a lot of research about trust and safety in general would be helpful, because trust and safety can look different in different companies. Um, based on the vision of the company. Like trust and safety at AWS can look different from, for example, trust and safety at Twitter. just
Mhm.
based on the vision of the company and the direction that they're going. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I would say um, being in touch with trust and safety across different companies, and also what it looks like in general would be very, very helpful. Just
Mhm.
being able to see the field in perspective.
Okay. Are there any professional organizations like national associations or even subreddit communities or Facebook community or anything like that that is related to this field?
Yeah, there's an association of trust and safety professionals. I forgot the
Mm.
exact acronym or the name, but there is an association that people can join,
Mhm.
and they have conference like really big conferences every year too. So yeah, I would say research is key.
Yeah. Okay, that's nice. Yeah, that they have a whole, national level organization about that. Okay, thank you so much, Stella, for giving me such a great intro and description of your job. And I'm really glad that you were my guest today.
Yeah, thank you so much, Evelina, for having me. I had a great time speaking a
Yeah.
little more about my job than I normally would to
Yeah.
people because I don't get a chance to do this
Hmm. Yeah.
normally.
Okay. Bye bye, Stella.
Thank you.
Mhm.